Let's face it, cruises are great vacations, but if you're an avid cruiser, there probably are a few things that you'd like to see changed and evolve. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, if you're watching this video now, you probably really like cruising, but nothing is perfect. And can things be improved? Absolutely. Now, I happen to believe that some of the best ideas come from people that are actually the customer or the cruiser. And I recently did ask in the LifeWell Cruise community, what are some of the things, big and small, that you would like to see cruise lines change? Now, I got some absolutely amazing answers and some new things that we've really never heard before. All right, so I have 13 ways that cruise lines can improve, big and small, and 3 things that cruise lines are doing right now that people are absolutely loving and they want to see more of. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention 2 things. Firstly, leave your comment down below. We never know who is actually watching any of these videos, and your opinions matter. And secondly, if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. The number one thing that people want to see more of on cruise lines is more late night food options. In the past, there were a little bit more late night food options, and people say they're not necessarily saying they want to return to the midnight buffet, although some people do, but they are saying that they want a little bit more than hot dogs and nuggets and pizza, something a little bit better, at least one restaurant or casual option open late night. Number 2, I'm not sure everybody would agree with this one, but a lot of people do. It's no more smoky casinos. Now, you cannot smoke inside a cruise ship. I don't think anywhere on a cruise ship these days. Please correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below. But somehow you can smoke inside the casino. And the worst part about smoking inside the casino is the smoke oftentimes wafts up into the stairways and other areas. And people say, you know what? It is time to get rid of that. Number 3, let's talk about solo cruising. Now, we know that solo travel is actually a growing trend. And solo cruisers, single passengers say, why should we be paying double? And in some cases, not even getting double the benefit when they book. So they are looking to cruise lines for some solutions. Number 4, status match between the various cruise lines. Now, ever since Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, and Silverseas actually introduced a status match between the 3 brands. And by the way, they did have a status match between Celebrity and Royal Caribbean before, so they simply expanded it. Well, people are saying, why aren't we seeing that across the Carnival brands or other brands? And it does give people the opportunity to move from one cruise line into another cruise line when their needs change, or maybe when they're traveling as a couple versus traveling with kids, and so on. Please let me know if you'd like to see something done across the Carnival brands. I know I would. Number 5, goodbye gratuities. It just seems like it might be time, as cruise lines are evolving in terms of the way they're displaying their pricing based on some new laws in California. We'll talk about that in another video. But a lot of people are saying they're not necessarily against tipping, but if tipping is expected and if gratuities are really part of the salary in a way of the crew, they'd like to see a service fee perhaps included in the price of the cruise, and leave tipping, anything extra, leave that as something optional. Number 6, plugs and USBs. Cruise lines, when you are refurbishing some of the older cruise ships and you are making some updates, people say, please put some electric outlets near the bed, add some USBs or USB-Cs and USB-As next to the bed, and for sure, on any new cruise ships, this is something everybody wants to see. Cruise line drink packages. Now, there were a few different points to this, so I'm going to divide it up by A, B, and C. So A, have different drink package options. Yes, people would like to see drink packages that aren't necessarily unlimited or even up to 15 drinks a day, but maybe a smaller amount of drinks that still offer some sort of cost savings. And I guess that could be cruise cards with a certain amount of drinks or even shareable drink packages, but something that people can still have a little bit of a savings. B, mocktails. So when it comes to people who don't drink alcoholic beverages, I thought this was a really good point. They'd like to see more mocktails offered at the different bars. And one of the ideas that came up was having a signature mocktail at every bar. And C, no signing if you have a drink package. The whole benefit of having a drink package is to make it easy to get a drink and to go. And in some cases, not on every cruise line, but in some cruise lines, you do actually have to sign a little paper, and people say they'd love to see that just go away. More accessible excursions. Now, I always feel that not enough people are really speaking out about this, but I do think it really is important, and maybe it is very difficult in some of the different cruise ports of call, but I do think since cruising in general is so accessible and so inclusive to so many people, that excursions is really something that cruise lines could perhaps work with the tour providers in their cruise ports of call to make sure there are a couple of options, at least in every cruise port of call, for people that do need accessible excursions. Basic Wi-Fi included in the cost of the cruise. Now, I really do think that times are changing, and there is going to be a point that people are really going to say, we just want to see Wi-Fi included in the cost of the cruise. And we do know that there are some cruise lines that do include it. Of course, it could mean that the price of the cruise has to rise a little bit to account for this. But gone, I think almost, not completely, but almost gone are the days where people would say, I can just turn off my phone or the internet for an entire week or more. I think a lot of people really are used to having internet on land, and they'd like to see the same thing when they're at sea, even if it is a little bit slower. And now that most cruise lines are getting Starlink, perhaps we're a little bit closer to that happening. Please let me know what you think down in the comments below. Replacing the cruise card with wearables. Now, what kind of wearables? Well, I'm talking about the medallion or a type of bracelet or a band. And this would basically just make it easier for cruisers. And I think that this really does come from the fact that for the last few years, I think since about 2019, we've seen this technology. And for people that have tried it, they've said, you know what? It is really much better. Do you think that we might actually see more cruise lines do this? It seems like it would actually be to their benefit. More vegan food options, and in particular when it comes to the restaurants and when it comes even to the buffet. Now, I am not vegan, but I do know that a lot of people like to eat this way. So I do think that is a really great thing. Okay, so one of the biggest things that cruisers want to see cruise lines do and change is when it comes to the new ship builds. They recognize bigger ships are being built, these mega ships, but they want to see mid-sized cruise ships again, and they want to see them built new. And when it comes to those older cruise ships, they want to see true refurbishments. They say they are tired of being stuck on those older cruise ships that just aren't looking that good. Now, we've had some cruise lines talk about building mid-sized cruise ships in the future, but we really haven't seen any commitments on any brands other than the luxury brands. So please let me know what you think. A revamping of the cruise loyalty program. Now, I don't think that this would be popular with everyone, but I can actually see it a little bit. And it is that cruise lines should give points based on how much people are spending on board or even before their cruise. So in other words, being able to not only earn points for the cruise that you are booking, but as well for the dollars spent. So the dollars spent on specialty dining, the dollars spent on going to the spa, the dollars spent on excursions. And I do know that, like, when it comes to, for instance, my Marriott points, if I eat on site, I do actually earn some Marriott points towards that. So I could actually understand the concept. Please let me know what you think. Do you agree or disagree with that? 3 things that people are actually loving and that have been changed by the cruise lines are: number 1, market style food halls. So rather than having the typical buffet, some cruise ships actually have these market style food hall concepts, and it really does make it a little bit more fun and a little bit more variety of the food. Number 2, adult only cruise ships. Now, a lot of people say they actually would like their favorite cruise lines to have some cruises that run adults only. That is not necessarily something that is happening, but something that is present right now is we do have 4 cruise ships that Virgin Voyagers has, and they are adults only, and people are definitely loving the choice. And number 3, a solution to chair hogs. So, of course, cruise lines are monitoring to a certain extent people reserving chairs, but actually what people did mention is on the new Icon of the Seas, there are actually some cubbies around the hot tubs, and people are placing their items there. That is something I think that a lot of, especially family orientated cruise ships with pool areas that do get very busy, where people just sort of plop stuff on the chairs, I think if they actually had more cubbies, that would be a great idea. Now, I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. Please let me know your opinions and what you think that cruise lines should change, big or small. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now and happy cruising.